Stop the violence. Keep the peace. Stop the violence. Keep the peace. Stop the violence. Keep the peace. We fed up. Can't take it no more. We fed up. Can't take it no more. We fed up. Can't take it no more.
Police brutality is the use of excessive force by police officers, whether physical, verbal, or sexual. Police brutality has been going on in America for centuries, from the civil rights movement to Rodney King, and recently Mike Brown in Ferguson and Charles Smith here in Savannah. In these cases, police officers target young black men and have even gone to the extent of killing them. We must take a stand against police brutality and let our voices be heard. Shamir Yates is a Savannah State graduate and a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Recently, he was a victim of police brutality. Shamir explains what happened and cautions for young black men who believe they are victims of police brutality.
What's going on? My name is Shamir Yates, graduate of Savannah State University. About 2 weeks ago, I had encountered a situation with the police while I was in Statesboro. Subsequently, I was harassed, later involved in a physical altercation to where I was beat up pretty bad. I was pretty bad as far as hemorrhage and a lot of bleeding and swelling as far as my nose and my face. Luckily, the damages wasn't too bad. Getting everything taken care of. Thankfully for my lawyer and my family, really supporting me. This has been a crazy situation. I do believe in some ways I was profiled on my car. I do have a Savannah State tag on there as far as being in the front of the car. I was in my car asleep. I thought it was quite odd that I was actually even approached by the officers. But I think it is somewhat of a profiling kind of thing. I'm pretty sure they thought I was just a college student, and if they didn't even think I was a college student, they probably just thought I was a regular black guy who probably didn't have any credentials. They didn't think I had a degree. The fact that I probably could have had something in my past that could have tripped me up. I've never been arrested. I've never been in trouble by anything. So I think it's quite interesting. I think a lot of times they kind of profile people and pick on them and kind of stereotype them. And I just think for me it was unfortunate that I wasn't killed or hurt too bad. But if I was to give any advice to anybody that may be in a situation like I was, or maybe actually be in a situation that could be far worse or a little less worse, I would definitely say just do your best to keep your cool, because they are killing people out here.
Coming up, Assistant Public Defender Brandon Thomas gives his take on police brutality.
Police are allowed to use force to enforce the laws and keep order, to arrest people. So I'd say police brutality is going beyond the normal amount of force that you would need to basically do what you need to do to effect an arrest. Oftentimes, like, police officer may be justified in punching a suspect that's resisting arrest. But for example, if the person's already arrested and they still continue to hit the person, obviously at that point they're not needing to hit the person in order to effectuate the arrest. They already have them arrested, so really they're just taking out their frustration at that point on the individual. So basically being excessive beyond what's needed to handle the situation, I say, is police brutality. And it happens. It's hard to say exactly because oftentimes it's only the police officer and the suspect who are there. So the suspect says it happened, the police officer says it didn't happen. Very often, whoever's the partner of that police officer is going to back them up. I believe recently in Savannah they have an initiative where they want to put cameras on the police officers. I think they're going to start doing that actually pretty soon, actually. So that'll change a lot because at that point it's not just the suspect's word for it that they have to take. We'd be able to see actually on camera, what's going on. Most of the big things in the news when something happens with police brutality, it's really because somebody caught it on camera. So honestly, things happen every day but until it gets caught on camera, it doesn't really come to light. So that's probably going to revolutionize things when you actually have people with cameras on them. Unfortunately, the young black men are pretty much the largest percentage of those in the jail. It's not all young black men, but that's the largest percentage that are, basically suspects in crimes. So they kind of go hand in hand. So that's pretty much what it is. They're looking for black suspects, and I could see, obviously being a police officer is not a very easy job. It's definitely a difficult job, frustrating job, like a lot of jobs. So I could see how over the course of dealing with multiple suspects day in, day out, and the majority of them are black, that may add to the frustration. You see another black person, and at that time, that may not, the use of force may not have been justified, but because they've been dealing with so many black suspects, and they're just having a bad day that day, they may just flip out, and a lot of things can happen. So I say overall the police, I don't think they're going out of their way to per se target minorities, but there definitely are officers on there that blatantly racially profile, that'll tell you straight to your face, yeah, do it, racial profiling is effective, and they'll just tell you. Overall, I don't think police are going out of their way to victimize black men, but there's definitely officers on the force that are known for that. Well, I'm here at the Public Defender's Office. We're here to represent people who are charged with crimes, charged with felonies specifically. If someone was a victim of police brutality, they would have to basically file a civil suit. That's not something that we would handle here. You basically have to hire an attorney. They'd have to sue the police department and perhaps Chatham County or even the state of Georgia, and basically alleging that the police officer was acting outside of their scope of their duties. Like I said, you're allowed to use force, but you're going beyond the force that's necessary to effectuate an arrest. So you'd have to hire an attorney and get them to sue. It's usually pretty hard to recover. Really only most of the time in very extreme cases are when people are able to recover, but like I said, it's an evidence problem. The 99% of the time, it's only the officer and the suspect, so people aren't able to just take their word for it. But when you have a camera situation, that's when people are often able to recover money. So you have to hire an attorney, and more likely than not, you're going to have something on video, or at least a lot of good witnesses who saw what happened. Charles Smith, it's interesting. It's, in this case, somebody died, so it's attracting a lot of attention. If it was just something like, okay, he got beat up, but he didn't die, we likely wouldn't even be reading it in the news, because a lot of the suspects that the police are going after, they end up getting beat up. Like, by the time I get to the jail, if they have part of their charges obstruction, which is some kind of resisting arrest, often they'll have a busted lip or an eye or something, and the police say, oh, he was trying to run, so I had to tackle him, I had to kick him, I had to this and that. So again, only them two were there, so only they know exactly whether the force was necessary or not. So with Charles Smith, the facts being alleged that, basically a gun was there and that's why they had to shoot, it's interesting because general police protocol, before you put someone in the police car, you have to search that person for drugs and weapons, because when they're riding in the police car, they're not going to want to be sitting there with somebody who could potentially have a weapon and try to harm them. So they search the person before they put them in the car. So my understanding is they arrested him, they searched him, didn't find anything, put him in the back of the police car, and then he kicked out the window. So then they tried to take him back out. Then they saw the gun, and that's when they shot him. So somehow, when they were doing the search, the gun wasn't there, but then later on, a gun showed up. So I don't really know. It's really early in the case. I believe the GBI is investigating. That's the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. But I just say that that's a bit odd, because again, they searched the person before they put them in the car. So if there was a gun, it should have turned up. So I'm not really sure what that is.
Up next, I speak with Charles Smith's family.
Growing up, my brother was a class clown. Full of jokes, always making you laugh, and my brother was funny. He's always making you laugh. He's always picking things apart and putting it back together. He wasn't much of a sports player, even though he was tall. You probably would have thought he would have been into basketball, but he was more like electronic type. He would like to pick stuff apart to see how it operates and see if he could put it back together. That's the type of person he was. He was just everybody loved my brother. I mean, he didn't make too many enemies, but growing up, he wasn't like people have him depicted as this hardcore person. He wasn't like that. He was really soft. So he had to put a little hard shell on the outside. But my brother was a well-loved person by everybody.
Oh, he was a good person. He was kind-hearted. He'll give you his laugh. I mean, he'll help you out with anything. He was just new to fatherhood, 5 months in, trying to learn, fatherhood, and I mean, now he don't have no chance with fatherhood. He was there the whole step of the way of my pregnancy. When it came time to have her, he was there holding my hand the whole way, and he loved my daughter dearly. He loved our daughter dearly. She used to light up when she used to see him. He used to always make her smile. She could be crying with me, and he'd come around, and she'd just smile and start laughing. So I know she loved him dearly. And I'm just mad because he won't get a chance to, be a part of father. We new parents coming on, you know what I'm saying? So that was the experience we were going through together, and now it's like I'm not by myself, but it's hard. It's gonna be hard. It's not easy.
Well, it's not. My mother isn't taking it well at all because she just recently buried her husband, and that was hard for her to deal with. And she already has real bad health issues. So on top of the worryation after her son getting killed, the way it happened, it's really been tearing her down. But she's trying her best to be strong. She really put her best foot forward, but it's really starting to penetrate her now. She been doing good for the longest. And my kids, oh my God, they love their uncle so much. They miss their uncle so much. They hate somebody help her all the time. They know he's not coming back. That was the next best thing to that, because my kids, all of their fathers aren't a part of their life, and he took up before he had his own. He took up that spot in their life. He was their father figure role. My oldest daughter, before his daughter, he already had some type of prior training because he didn't play the radio with them. He loved kids. Kids was his world even before he had kids. Anybody kids on the street, all the kids, even elderly people, as simple as helping somebody cross the street to the bus stop. That was my brother. He never disrespected the elderly person. Every elderly person in our neighborhood and every young person, that's from the youngest to the oldest people in our neighborhood, you can't find a bad comment that they'll say about him because he's that type of person. Yes ma'am, no ma'am, thank you, please, may I. Helping people cross the street, getting on the kids when he know they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and he'll come to, hey, I see him down here doing this. Come on to get him. You're like, thank you, okay. The kids respected him, and the older people respected him because it's a lot of kids our age that's not as respectful as him that's, in this neighborhood. You got a lot, you might be called thugs, but he was well mannered. My mama and my daddy taught him very well as far as being respectful growing up. Even his teachers growing up, His teachers noticed all the potential in him. Even his teachers came to his funeral from elementary school, from Bartow Elementary. They came to his, funeral because they knew him growing up. They know him as well as everybody else. He has been a part of this community. Wow. And it hasn't just affected us, it's affected our community as well, because the kids, if you don't hear the grown people talking about it, you can hear them marching around talking about Mr. B, who we want justice for, Mr. B. Because they knew that he was somebody that when he was around, they felt alright in his presence. They didn't have no worries. They know that he was going to look after them. And if he had anything in his pocket, he wasn't going to buy one of them something if he couldn't buy all of them something. That's how he did his nieces and nephews. If he couldn't afford to get one of them a pair of shoes, then none of them weren't going to get none. And he always made a way to make sure all of them had it. So that's the type of person my brother was. And that's how it affected my family, because I lost two main men in my life. Like my dad and my brother were like, my men role models as far as what I wanted. Somebody, my dad, coolest person on earth, smart, educated, never left us, and he instilled that in my brother. And he kind of was stepping up, taking the place after my dad passed. So they really took a lot from us. It really been hard on my family, and especially my mom. Well, they've been supportive. They always, ever since the rallies, when there's rallies, they show up, they come by and make sure my mom's okay, just things like when me and my sister working. It's not her here being alone, they still come by, hey mom, how you doing? Because she's like a part of this, we grew up here. So my mom is like a stepmom to everybody else, because that's just how we grew up. Everybody called my mom a mom, and they've just been real supportive. They've been coming, helping us out and everything, just letting us, whatever we say, if we want to do a rally or whatever's going on, we always come. I think that police should be held more accountable for their actions than what they're being held accountable for. It's just not fair. If you enforce the law, then you should practice it as well. You can't enforce one thing and practice another and expect citizens to abide by that. There's no fairness in that.
Fight to the end. Don't give up. Don't let it be silent. Don't let them just sweep it under the rug and just get it out the way, because no amount of money can bring him back. Money comes and goes. He can't come back and disappear. All we have is memories and pictures. That's it. He's not coming back. We have to go to the grave site to visit him. We can't see him. We have to talk to concrete, even though he's under the concrete. He's not here anymore, and that's a hard pill to swallow, because we had many plans, and we was a family. We was gonna raise our children, and he was trying to get it together. And they just didn't give him that opportunity at all. They just took it away from him. Now I'm stuck with my kids, and when they get older, I have to build up the energy to explain to them what happened to their father, how it happened, and I just never thought in a million years that it would ever eventually happen to him. Because he was not trying to make it seem like he was a saint, this, that, everybody has their problems, but he was a good person. And we will miss him very, very much.
You don't stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. So if you feel, when it's unjust, just fight to the end. Don't let them tell you anything.
Just don't let it go.
Don't let it go.
Because that's what they want you to do. They just want you to forget about it, and they pay you off, and that's the end of it. We never hear no more. This is going to be a legacy. People are going to know about this. This is a story that is going to be told, and it's going down in history. It is.
Up next, I speak with Charles Smith's family lawyer.
Police brutality takes a lot of different forms. It can manifest itself in the form of police abuse, which is general overhandedness in terms of how you deal with people. It could be on an investigatory stop. It could be in an actual arrest, and it's important for people to know that an arrest occurs anytime the suspect feels that he or she is not free to leave. It could occur when people are beat. It could occur when people are falsely imprisoned. Not actually in prison, but when, here again, they feel that they are not free to leave and they therefore cannot leave, and there's a general intent to sort of make them stay in one confined location physically for no reason, without a reasonable belief. So police brutality can be little or it can be very big. Well, I think what happens is people may have general fears, or they may have insecurities about young black men or old black men or black people, or not have exposure to black folk, and those little bitty fears or insecurities or something that's small, overhandedness, if it does not go addressed, then it will grow over time. It's like a cancer or a disease. And so the reason why it happens is that people have never stood up to it the way that it needs to be stood up to. The right folk have not enforced the law against the people who are designed to protect it. Well, number one, you can report it. You always go through internal affairs first. Alright? Make sure that you document the complaint well outside of the police department. You can do that through emails, you can do that through videos, you can do that through the internet. There are all kinds of forms of documentation. The second thing is you should be persistent about making sure that the appropriate measures take place, because it's very hard sometimes for the police to police themselves. And the last thing is, if you feel like you need a lawyer, be aggressive about getting one. Because sometimes only a lawyer can take things where they need to be. Particularly if there's somebody that has been seriously injured, or somebody who has died, heaven forbid. And that's one reason why I'm on this case, because Mr. Smith died. He lost his life. It's not anything that's funny, it's not anything to be played around with, it's not anything to kick down the road. And so from the very beginning, we've tried to be aggressive about getting justice one way or the other.